Hello. Hey, wonderful people. So I'm really excited to be popping on here as I was woken up by spirit working in my mind, saying that I needed to pop up and record this and share it with y'all, whoever is listening and watching. And so I'm excited to be coming here to share a little bit about spiritual entrepreneurship and what makes us different than regular entrepreneurs. So with that in mind, I want to just dive right in and share with you something that I've been working on and thinking through. And you might have even seen this before if we've been hanging out around town and in community for a bit. So let's see here. Let me stop my video and jump right in. Okay, so principles of spiritual entrepreneurship. I've been studying entrepreneurship for a bit now. I've also been exploring what spiritual entrepreneurship means. And usually people think of it through the context of, I believe in spirituality, I live spiritually, I'm here for the well-being of humanity, elevating consciousness. I'm a reader, astrologist, maybe even therapist, you consider yourself. But to me, I think spiritual entrepreneurship is even further than that. We can take it beyond what we do for a living and our products and services and into how we do business as well. How do we be in relationship with spirit and business, spirit and abundance, spirit and surviving, really not surviving, but moving into thriving, because we know that there is a plentiful amount of spirit and abundance and giving and fruits in this world, and yet we live in the context or in the systems of scarcity and lack. And so I think of us spiritual entrepreneurs as people who are here not only to raise the vibration and to serve, but to behave and move a little bit differently than others, to provide some diversity in how we are operating as humans. So let's dive in. I think that, and these are all just my ideas, so I would love to hear what you've got to say or think about these points of views after you finish watching. I'm going to try to keep this within 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so. So, for me, a business person is someone who is setting up a business within an existing framework of a market, offering products and services to customers. They are a market player. The market has already been defined. It's low risk. You have to invest money and you might lose it, but it's not like you're inventing something brand new. You're not going against the grain. You're not envisioning something. You're just kind of fitting into what's already going on. And I'm using broad strokes here, but you'll see the contrast when we move over to entrepreneurship, and then especially when we move into spiritual entrepreneurship. But essentially, a business person is calculative. They're thinking, here's my investment, and this is what I want on the output, right, over time or whatever it might be. And so they're marking a space within the current market for a profit. And they might even see that the market is very competitive, and they're worried about how to define themselves and how to stand out because they're operating in something that's already defined and trying to get their piece of the pie, right? So entrepreneurs, on the other hand, are people who conceive a new idea. They have a vision. They have like this dropping into their spirit of, what if I take this thing and make something new? Or I'm seeing a whole gap in what's not being offered in the world, and I got to bring it. I cannot ignore it. I've got to bring this. So they're a leader. They're creating a new enterprise. They're bringing something that is not tangible into reality, which I would even say can be very spiritual, right? So it is high risk because everything is on the line. Your well-being, who you are, how you see yourself, how people see you. It's very intuitive. When we listen to various, whether they're spiritual or not, but various successful entrepreneurs, they talk about having a gut instinct and then finding the people and the things around them that can support birthing it into the world. They're creating something unheard of before, so there's a new market. They're about people and how to collaborate to bring something together, not just the profits. They know the profits will come later because it is so, ingenious? There we go. And they don't think about competition because they know they are their own competition. They're literally channeling something that's inside, arguably brought from somewhere else, which brings us into my definition of spiritual entrepreneurship. I think that spiritual entrepreneur is a person who only creates purposeful products and experiences in marketplaces that benefit the healing of people and cultures and inspires positive change in our humanity based on each of our unique calls to service and our soul agreements. It's more than just birthing something new into the world. It's also birthing something new into the world that helps to heal and evolve our humanity, our life on this planet, and helping us come closer together and elevate in whatever context or definition that lands for you. So for me, it's us being and knowing our work is for a higher purpose. It's allowing our spirit and the spirits that work with us to guide us in business. It's not all about the way that the world has defined doing business. We're working in collaboration with spirit. And yes, there are modern structures that support us and help us because we do live within this realm right now, but it's the perfect balance between that feminine flow and spirituality and the masculine energies of structure and understanding, if we want it. So it's a very co-creative experience, which means that the models of traditional business as we've seen it, or even modern digital business, don't fully resonate with us. Like, we need some of it, but we also cringe at moments when it's like, that doesn't resonate with my spirit. And yet the whole world is telling us this is how you have to do business. I say, no, we can figure out how to do business differently, which is a mix, as I said, of this world and the aspirations of our world. So we tend to be this bridge between higher consciousness of what could be and human consciousness of what is, right? And that's why we have so much conflict, why it seems so difficult to manifest our ideas, and we're constantly questioning ourselves and running from this to that, because it's the intangible of what doesn't exist yet that we're trying to bring into this realm. That's why as souls, we've decided to come here to Earth, is my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. So, I have another presentation that's around conscious business. And if your business is really doing well or helping the world evolve, and if it's really doing good as a conscious business person. And there's 4 areas that I like to tap into, and that's your personal values and who you are, the parts of you that has come forth to be in this realm right now, and how do we bring all those parts in your will together to have the agency and the trust in yourself to birth what you need, right? Looking at what's inherited ancestrally, right? So yes, you've come here as your soul and what you're here to do, but we've also inherited quite a few things, perceivably positive and negative, from our ancestral roots. And how do we get our ancestors and ancestral energies working on our behalf instead of sabotaging or carrying things like white guilt or continual pain and trauma from whatever our backgrounds could be? And there's a plethora of them, right? Taking a step back and evaluating the energies in ourselves, around ourselves, and within our business, at the resources. Again, we're living in a structure that says that money and abundance comes through restriction and creating price elasticity through scarcity and allocating resources in surplus or in lack so that we can create a need, a demand. And I like us to come back and look at all the ways that we can be generous in our worlds and in our lives so that we receive generosity in return. And then also unpacking and auditing our systems and structures from a cultural perspective. And this is obviously set across from the ancestral piece, because our ancestors have done things that have brought us together, and they've also done things that have kept us apart. And so we've got to dismantle some of that while coming into the heart and the love and the consciousness, because all these things are working together. Yeah. So my belief is that business got us into this mess, and it can get us out. And not just business specifically or particularly, but the art of surviving. Trying to survive has brought out the best and the worst of humans. And business is a part of that. What we buy, what we trade, what we subscribe to, where we put our money and who we give it to, creates tribes and tribalism. And so the way that we do business is very political, and it's also an energetic thing. So again, we've got these themes of higher consciousness and the human consciousness and its flaw, and also abundant, or not a flaw, and what's the opposite of flaw? Beauty. I guess, that are still playing together. So I want to bring these things closer together and integrate them. And I think that we can. And when we do that, we're bringing all the parts of our spirituality and our consciousness into brands or ideas, concepts that we want to be known for, and business, which is an offering for an exchange, authentically and for depth, for impact and cultural change. And that comes with all these four areas, I believe. Having a spiritual connection to something bigger than you, understanding yourself, who you are as a spirit in a human body, and the parts of your personality that have come to be as a result of being human. And again, how do we get them all working for your best interest and your calling and offering in the world today? And then how do we channel the both of those into an authentic, spiritually blessed brand? That means that you don't have to question what your message is and why you're here and your purpose and your mission, because you know it resonates with who you truly are, why you came to this planet, and your spirits and your spiritual connection are in alignment with it. That means no matter how you continue to grow and evolve as a human, it's rooted in these pillars of truth, and you can stand in them. And then the last one is having a creative and ever-evolving business. So what is your offering that is a true invocation of an idea, of a vision that represents your spirit and your call to serve? All four of these pieces coming together makes your unique way of being here that solidifies you as a spiritual entrepreneur, because no one's going to have that same imprint. We can do similar things. We can be adjacent to each other. We can be in a community. But no one's got your energy. We all have different missions of how we bring it to life, right? So let's dive in. What's the real thing that's holding us spiritual entrepreneurs back? And I say it's believing in ourselves and really standing. This world will say, fit into the system, do it this way, follow these steps, and you'll get to this. And we've got to operate within and outside of the systems. So we've got to believe in ourselves, understand ourselves more, connect with our spirits for support, the guiding things inside and around us from a spiritual perspective, so that we can really sustain our lives and build a business that we believe in and does have the purpose. And when we're challenged by the other world, we can be flexible in articulation and meeting, but also strong in saying, no, this is my unique way. This is my unique way, and I'm constantly evaluating how I can be truer and fuller and more inclusive in my unique way that's given to me, right? The next thing is understanding what spiritual branding and conscious business is. And I think in short, it's about walking your own path. Even with these ideas and how I'm articulating it, these words are going to fall in your spirit in a unique way. And it's not for me or anyone to judge what that unique way is. I'm just here to walk my path and inspire people who are on their own also spiritual business and entrepreneurship path. And may we all exchange in a way that feels unique and gentle and authentic and uplifting and unifying, right? So I just say being gentle with your becoming in order to show up in integrity to have impact is really what we're talking about in this journey of entrepreneurship, spiritual entrepreneurship, because it's going to be a little bit different for all of us, but we can come together in community and support each other. So here's the principles I've come up with for spiritual entrepreneurship. They're guiding principles that I've read some books and looked across the lands and sat with my spirits and was like, what is this all about? If there was some things that is like the pillars of our Bible of spiritual entrepreneurship, how do we balance the higher consciousness and the ideal things we want to see on Mother Earth with the human experience that we're healing from and weaving and we're trying to relate within? So these are concepts that create innovation in the world for healing, growth, and community through our unique purpose and call to serve. So guiding principles that can help us be in business. Number one is that you do have a calling. And I think we're all probably nodding our heads, like we know that. Or maybe we've even questioned it. But knowing that you have a calling that's beyond just being here and surviving is number one, that you are connected to something bigger and outside of yourself, and that you yourself are something bigger than what you see. Some people, we come around folks and they're like, you have inspired me. You have helped me. We all have a gift. We all are here for a reason. And you're connected to something way bigger than just yourself, whether you see that as God or the spirits that you work with or extraterrestrial beings or just your human community and how you impact or how you make people feel. You're connected. You have an energy life force running between and within you and between your fibers of your being that we can harness. Even coming down to the basics of the elemental spirits. They're here to help us in this human walk. Water, earth, air, fire, and then just the spirit of nature or regeneration. That's magic when you think about it. Like science has broken down how to create water or their molecules, but we can't create more water, even when we put the molecules together. At least I haven't heard. Yeah, so there's that. We're connected before I continue going further. Principle 3, respect all the parts of you. We have multiple personalities inside of us. We come from blood, spiritual lineage, lineage of the land, spiritual lineage, star lineage. There's so many different parts to this existence in this life this time. And the more we get to know ourselves and bring them to life and love all the parts, the shadow part, the light part, the loving part, the null part, like all of it, they all play a role, and that's why we have them. So as you move through your spiritual entrepreneurship journey, you'll see different parts of yourselves coming up. I think that entrepreneurship, particularly spiritual entrepreneurship, is one of the most complete ways of having impact and coming into yourself and getting to know yourself and essentially doing personal development, because every aspect of who you are is challenged and asked to rise, to show up for a new way. Principle 4, embody your values outside of you. When we ask what our values are, everyone can say compassion, love, care, transparency, communication, connection, all these things. But moment to moment, we're not necessarily living them through and through. We're not building our business off of these values. The systems and structures of our businesses are not fully reflected in our values. And that's the number one. Like, this is the number one place to really set yourself aside or apart from regular entrepreneurs or business people, because we're being called into integrity as spiritual entrepreneurs. And we've got to constantly evaluate, is this truly in alignment to my spirit and my calling and how I'm here to serve and to help the collective and stand up and be authentic to myself? 5, lead with generosity. The more generous we are, the more generosity and abundance we create in the world. And we start to dispel this myth that there is lack in resources. I love this one. I love helping people explore where their generosity lies, how to be more generous without depleting themselves and departing or abandoning themselves. So how do you have strong boundaries and be clear about where your yeses are and where you can be a full yes in showing up for others in the world or in your spirit and with your energy? This is so important. I've seen people who are spiritual entrepreneurs. They're amazing coaches. They are fantastic at giving readings. They care for babies. You know, they birth people into the world or help people transition out. And yet the energy in their business is all around lack and constriction. And it's sabotaging. It limits what we can really do. So unpacking generosity within the context of your own life and business is so important. And I would love to help you with that. Principle 6, love your boundaries. I've already talked about this a little bit in the generosity piece, but boundaries are important. Otherwise, we just start falling and melting into other people's stuff. And one of the things about spiritual entrepreneurship, as we birth something new into the world, or we have a different vibration or expression of it, we're also trying to meet people at the expression that they're at so that they can hear us and then choose to elevate, see if their inner spirit is saying yes for what we have to offer. And so we've got to be clear on where our boundaries lie, when we're willing to step over them and why, and when we do not. And when we know that line and we can dance around it, we now become leaders and masters, constantly learning. 7, honoring flow and finding joy in experimentation. This one is a key to stepping into spiritual entrepreneurship, because other businesses, business school, business programs, business coaches, business structures, over time tells you to invest this way and price it this way and use the number system in this way and create marketing and psychology in this way. And these things are, we've gotten conditioned through our education system, particularly those of us in the Western education system, of trying to follow a system and a structure to the T, and that leads us to success. The corporate system is created in this, the hierarchical structure. And being a spiritual entrepreneur means that we're flowing, we're fluid, we are listening to our higher selves, we're dealing with spirits. We don't know when we get that spark of inspiration and why we have to do it, but we follow it. And that means there's a lot of experimentation. When you can experiment and enjoy the journey of creating and just following the breadcrumbs, it's so authentic and it's literally foolproof. Even your mess ups or your mishaps are leading you deeper into your unique path. And so if we can find joy in stepping out and trying, and listening to spirits and listening to people around us, we literally start to win. Principle 8, first intuition, then facts. So here is, again, this kind of spins off of the last one in the sense that everyone wants to say, what's the white label best practices way of doing things? Give me the facts, give me the numbers, give me the science, make it logical and analytical. And what we know about spirituality and answering to something that's unseen is it's unseen. There are no facts. I can't give you an evidence-based way of how to run your business when you're a spiritual entrepreneur. We can test things, we can add things in, but it's how it sets in your spirit and how it energetically vibrates through you and the way that you want to serve and how people respond to it. That is the truth. So your intuition is spirit speaking through you, and then you back it up with things that can support it. First intuition, first spirit, then facts, then logic. When you get them turned around, you get off track of your calling and you being able to listen to your higher spirit. Seasons for a reason. Here, we're coming back to balance of it taking time to plant seeds and nurturing them. That time is real and also isn't. And right now in this information age and this air age of technology and Instagram and the internet, we're wanting everything faster. And it takes time, and it also doesn't take time. So how can you honor rest and cultivation and nurturing and harvesting and celebration, like moving through the phases of business so that you can be balanced in yourself and your business can breathe? This also makes me think of ancestral ways of being. We would work the lands in certain ways so that there would always be growth. We were respecting of the lands. How can we be more respectful of time and how it is and it isn't? This also helps you not be one of those get rich fast and pull you into scarcity, because you've gone so fast that you've now depleted yourself and your business. Principle 10, authentic expression. In all ways, how can you show up and really say what you mean? And in this world, I find that language can be very limiting, but energy never lies. So how can we really sit down and tune into what we feel and let the words come out? And even when people are reading the words, they can really feel the vibration of what you're saying. This is important. Doing it for not the gram, but for the people. We're here to serve. We're here to help people stop struggling or lessen struggle and harm in this world. And we're never going to get to a space yet, I don't know or believe, where we don't do harm, but we're willing to continue showing up for people, not for the looks of things, but really authentic connections, authentic expression, authentic connections. How are you being in community and showing up for people? Principle 10 or 12, there is always an energy exchange. And when we serving people, it makes us hard to ask for an abundant exchange. This is one of my favorite topics, because energy matters. At all points, we are exchanging energy. We're touching energy. We're feeling energy. And when we don't have these things in balance, it stops the flow. And we're actually not having the impact that we would like. So in all things, let us evaluate our energy exchange and course correct or invite other ways of exchanging energy, whether that's monetarily, through testimonials, through word of mouth, through sharing space, through holding space, through travel, through kind words, whatever it might be, We've got to have an exchange. Principle 13, trust and allow, but also engage. This is one of my favorites because spirit will do things on our behalf when we are putting forth effort. But sometimes, especially because of the systems we live in, we're efforting more than we need to. We are literally pushing, and the energy behind our pushing is that we don't believe it can happen. So we're not allowing, and with all of the control and all of the step-by-steps, we're not allowing the serendipity of spirit to come in and co-create magically with us. So we've got to find this, again, balance between trusting and allowing and not becoming passive, but staying engaged. And I love to say, there's a lot that happens when we're resting and we're letting our dreams and ideas and visions settle in our energetic body and our physical body, so that when it's time to work again or produce or write or show up, we are ready. We are allowing spirit to channel fluidly through us. And that doesn't happen when we're constricted, because we're just pushing and doing and thinking that everything happens through effort. It doesn't always. Okay. Last principle, keep evolving so you know when you are evolving again. This is a human walk, and there's human flaw, and then there's the soul. The soul knows, and the soul is helping us be in this human body and to do great things. And so the more you keep getting to know yourself, you keep showing up, you keep leaning, and then you rest and you're in community and you start to figure out this dance that it's never going to be a set it and forget it, y'all. We're constantly going to be engaged, even in the rest, to keep evolving in our lives and with each other and in this world. And when we believe in that, we actually start to live, we start to have the impact that we want. We start trusting ourselves and all the ups and downs of riding the wave of this life and this spiritual entrepreneurship path. So this one is so fun because it talks to that personal development and spiritual connection exchange or relationship that we all are in as spiritual beings, and especially spiritual entrepreneurs. So to recap, it looks like this. This is what I'm thinking of principles of spiritual entrepreneurship. I'd love to hear your feedback on it. And I would love to hear if there's other things that you feel are conducive and a requirement or very real about the spiritual entrepreneurship path. Let me know. Leave a comment, send me a note, email me, find me on the interwebs. You know how we do. But let's talk about putting them to action, right? Because we're looking at these 4 areas of our lives or what we want to put out in the world. And here's a couple questions to help you out. What are your core values? If you're interested in doing a deeper dive into core values, hit me up. I've got a worksheet that could help you ask some questions and really see the opposite, what your core values are and what are the contrasts or the opposites of them. So you can start building your business and your structures on these things, like really challenging yourself to live deeper in integrity. Another one, how are you connected to spirit? What supports you on the other side? Who do you honor? Who do you work with the elements or the other beings? Authentic branding, what is your core message? What are you called to be known for? What do you want people to understand your point of view or your soul's work is about? And then creative business. What business offerings align? What services and experiences do you offer the world, and how do you offer them? Which is what conscious business is. It's not just the product and the service. It's how you do business that is spiritual and elevating. If you're doing the same limiting and toxic behaviors in business, how much impact are services and products then, right? How can you do business better? Which we'll be talking about more if you're in Spiritual BSchool. And if you're not, find us. We'd love to have you join. Some questions also to help you. What are you evolving towards? In what ways do you need to show up? What support do you need? How do you ask for help so that you can show up more? How do you need to treat all living beings, including starting with yourself, in order to align with your values a little bit more? Because here's the thing, your values help you start to create the structures of your business to live in deeper integrity, to be able to flow and be fluid in the truth of your spiritual calling, with some structure to hold you down, right? Okay, so here's an example. My spiritual entrepreneurship values are creativity, freedom, purpose, spirituality, those 4 things. And when I am, and I've kind of defined them here, or like set the different principles around these various things, just for me, that's how I was visioning them. But when I'm being creative and I'm co-creating with spirit and I'm finding my flow and I'm trusting and I'm allowing, I'm able to feel free, and I'm able to call people who are interested in freedom in their lives towards me. And it always aligns to a higher purpose of what do people need? What are they struggling with? Where's the conflict? Whether that's racially, financially, personally, and what their dreams are, and the whole world is telling them that they can't, right? And that I'm connected to spirit who's guiding me and their higher spirit. When all four of these things are lit up, I am now in integrity, and I am embodying my values, and my business is built on those four values. That's where my integrity lies. Just wanted to give you an idea of how I articulate these in my own life and business, and what my values are. And you notice, some of you have worked with me or who are considering working with me, you'll notice that I bring these principles to life in everything that I do. My contracts, or not even contracts, but agreements of exchange, are rooted in freedom of how you can come and go, and what the expectations are for me. What's my ask in generosity? And yeah, so I'll just stop there because I'll continue going on and giving examples. But I hope this sparks something in you to explore. I'd love to hear what it sparks in you or what you think about this. And thank you.